Am I doing it right? Wait, it just, what's going, now the wheels are back down. It's working. It's actually working. Look at this thing. It's so weird. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this is ScrapMan back with another episode of Dream Car Racing 3D, and today we are looking at the latest creation of mine. So this is a model of the Ford Model T, and for those of you who don't know, this car was pretty much the first widespread automobile in America. And I mean, this thing had everything. It had wheels, an engine, a steering wheel, Bluetooth probably, I don't know. But seriously, this car was invented over 100 years ago. Now, looking at this thing, you're probably asking, ScrapMan, what's with the suspension? This car is too old. Well, you know what? Look at this thing. This thing was tough. And I mean like really tough. I found videos of this car driving through mud and snow over rough terrain and practically jumping down those dirt ledges. Now, when I imagine a 100-year-old car, I think of like a box of metal bouncing around a cobblestone street with no suspension, no shock absorption, nothing like that. Just basically a bucket of butt hurt. And well, it wasn't quite as cushy as modern cars, but it wasn't really as bad as I expected looking at these videos. But safety, on the other hand, was another matter. This thing had no seatbelts, it had no impact zones to cushion the driver from crashes, it had a virtually useless handbrake, and it also had pane glass, which is prone to shatter into solid, sharp pieces, and the steering column, you know, this long metal shaft extending from the front of your car and pointing at your face? Yeah, that thing was rigid, which means if you found yourself barreling down a hill due to brakes failing and no way to stop, you were likely to get impaled with a metal pipe and have a nice side of glass shards to the face. So on that note, let's take this thing for a drive, shall we? Okay, so here's the plan. I'm gonna show you how this thing drives, then we're gonna do some crash testing, and then we're gonna, for the finale, we're gonna take this thing off the giant mountain map and see how this thing handles some high impact crashing. Alright, and here we go. So, this thing handles pretty well. I'm actually impressed with how it handles. The suspension definitely works. If anything, it's a little bit too bouncy because it definitely tends to roll if you turn it too sharp. But if you're paying attention, you can usually get yourself back onto your wheels without too much of an issue. But I'd say the hardest part about this vehicle was this right here, the steering combined with the front suspension. I used a different steering than I've used in anything else before, and I tried to make it kind of like a real vehicle where there's this rod that goes back and forth down here, but it's really two separate steering rods that just expand and contract from a center point with each other. So that's how the steering's working, and I was able to get it to work pretty well without collapsing on itself. I mean, it took some trial and error, but eventually it stopped collapsing on itself, so that's kind of nice. Now, you might have noticed, and you might be wondering, what is this swingy thing going around in the circle in front right here? This is actually a crank, and what this is how they start the vehicles 100 years ago. You actually had to crank your engine up in order to get it to start, and the problem with that is a thing called kickback. This thing was actually a huge safety issue where if your vehicle wasn't prepared, or if you didn't set it up right, basically, you get this thing called kickback where you try to crank it in one direction and it would just shoot back at you in the other direction. And this is a solid metal arm. So basically, you'd break your arm trying to start your own vehicle. Imagine if that was something you had to worry about, starting a vehicle, a broken arm. To get this to be an L shape and spin around in only one direction was actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Because look, these are just what you see. These are the frames that you see. But here is how many frames this thing is actually made out of. Just to get it to rotate this direction only and have nothing else rotate in any direction. It was surprisingly difficult because every single point that you see on here, every single frame point, is actually a completely free gyrating bearing, essentially, and you have to restrict it with other frames to prevent it from moving in whatever direction you don't want it to move in. So that's one interesting thing about building in this game, is you really have to think about how things are supported by each other in order to get things to stand up to mere gravity. Alright, so, first off, let's see how this thing does off-roading. I want to see if this thing compares at all to the video that I showed you, where that it was just going off the cliffs, pretty much. We'll see how the suspension works here, as we take it across this very treacherous and uneven terrain. And it seems to be doing pretty well, quite honestly. I do think, though, that the original Model T had a better functioning suspension than I've managed to construct here. Whoa. Alright, and yep, there's the problem right there. It's just way too bouncy. I think the original had a little bit more stability, but it definitely is working on the uneven terrain, so that's kind of nice. Whoop, whoop, and we're just bouncing all over the place there. But don't worry, we'll get back. We'll get back. We'll get... I lied. Yeah, so overall, I think this thing handles pretty well, and it's also pretty fast. I think it's faster than an original Model T would be. The original one could go maximum like 45 miles an hour if you were pushing it. So I think this thing does pretty well. So I think what's up next on the agenda is some crash testing, but first, let's flip it one more time. There we go. Barrel roll, do a barrel roll. Now, another fun fact about the production of this car was responsible for the popularization of the mobile assembly line, which basically was a step-by-step process of building the car where one person would only have to focus on one step of the process, while other people focused on the other steps of the process. So this made it possible to build this car pretty fast. And when I say fast, I mean over 100 years ago, people were able to build this entire car completely functional in 90 minutes. That's a fraction of how long it took me to build this with all this technology. I mean, this thing took me like probably 4 hours at least. I mean, I don't know, I was on like Twitter and Facebook half the time, but anyway, it just shows the effectiveness of the assembly line. I mean, an hour and a half from nothing to driving a car. That's pretty crazy considering how long ago that was. Okay, so first up, I think we're gonna take this thing into the invisible wall, and the reason why I want to do that is because I actually want to get a direct hit view to see what it looks like from the opposite side of the wall there, if we can do that. Can we do that? Can we get on the opposite side of this wall? Yeah, we should be able to see it crash straight into the wall. Alright, so we're gonna go full speed, and then we're gonna go slow-mo once we get close to the wall and see what happens. Alright, we've got some decent speed here. We're gonna go ahead and start slowing down just a little bit. Yeah, we're getting there. A little bit more. Alright, and I'm gonna freeze it right before we hit, so we are free to get in position here. So I'm thinking, wait, it's not letting me go any further. Oh no, we can't do it with the free cam. Can we do it like this? Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead from this view. Go ahead and speed it up and see what happens. Oh, there we go. Look at that. The engine has disappeared inside. Oh, and it's coming back out. And I'm coming out with it. What is going on here? Let's speed this up a little bit. Alright, and back to normal speed. It almost kind of survived. I mean, we still have most of it, and it still goes. Look at that, just the front wheels are enough. I can't turn it. I can't keep it. Alright, wait, we got this, guys. This is how the vehicle is supposed to work, right? Am I doing it right? Wait, it just, what's going, now the wheels are back down. It's working. It's actually working. Look at this thing. It's so weird. The entire cabin is like floating. If I stop and go, this is the weirdest thing I have seen happen to this vehicle. Well, it still works. It actually works. Like, the wheels still turn. Look, even the headlight, like, ready? Yep, there we go. The headlights still work and everything. I'm impressed. Let's go crash it one more time like this. See what happens. I mean, we're not getting as much speed, but I just want to see. Not much more, quite honestly. The cabin seems to be pretty well fortified. And that headlight is just freaking out. Alright, we're not doing slow-mo for this one. We're gonna go full speed, and we're just gonna watch it happen in real time. Alright, and here goes nothing. I don't know what happened. I don't even know. I don't even know what happened. Looks like our vehicle is a little bit lopsided, but still functional. We can still go. Our fender's dragging just a little bit. Oh, and there we go. We flattened ourselves a little bit more. Hey, now we got a clear view though, right? 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 All right, and last one before the finale, we're going to go first person, because that's a thing in this game now. And we're gonna see just how this thing looks in a head-on crash mid-air with a wall in first person. All right, here goes nothing. And, oh, whoa, that's not the first person I was expecting. We bounced up into the front flip almost. All right, how's this thing look? There we go. Not too bad. Can we get up? Yes, we can. Man, this thing is just resilient. Okay, we are at the mountain map and we're working up to, we're gonna go off that huge thing for the big finale. But I just got really curious on how this thing is going to do with a hill climb, which so far it seems not very well. Let's give this thing a chance though. All right, here we go. First obstacle. Seems to be handling it really well, actually. All right, not too bad. Whoa, oh, that's not gonna be good. Oh, the suspension is way too bouncy. I really have to figure out how to fix that. I think I've actually broken the suspension. All right, we're gonna see how far I can get up this hill, and then we'll just spawn up there, because I don't think it's gonna make it. I really don't think this is gonna make it all the way up there, but we can try. All right, we're slowing down quite a bit. It's not looking hopeful. It's not looking hopeful. But I gotta be honest, we're making it pretty far. Look at how steep this hill is. I don't think the original Model T would have gone this far. I actually read that in the original Model T, its rear gear was a lot more powerful than its front gears, or forward gear. So in order to go up steep hills, they actually had to go in reverse if they wanted to make it up the hill. But I don't think that's how it's gonna work in this game here. So, all right, first off, my favorite little trail right here. We're gonna see how it does going down this thing, and we're off to a great start. Yep, we almost got it, almost got it, almost got it, nailed it. Yep, there we go. And now it's starting, now we're losing it, we lost it. No hope, all hope is gone. Oh, there we go. Hey, it's actually doing pretty well. And it's not a pancake. Guys, it's not a pancake. I think this is the first time I've driven anything down this hill that didn't turn into a pancake. It's a miracle. Does it still drive? It does, but I don't know if I'd call that driving. Okay, and for the big finale, we're going to drive from a very high position, very far away from this giant mountain, and I'm gonna try to barrel roll this thing off of the edge of this platform and see how it handles a direct impact with the ground from a very, very high altitude. Now the Batmobile pretty much got pancaked. We're gonna see just how this thing, that's not a barrel roll, but we're, okay, it's something. It's a sideways front flipping thing of no control. All right, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. We're gonna slow things down a little bit. And get in our free view here. All right, I'm thinking we're gonna land right around here. Oh, right around here. All right, here it goes. Here it goes. Is it gonna pancake? Oh, hey, it's not, it's got some dimension to it. It hasn't completely flattened. Whoa, there it goes. There it goes. Where are you going? Where are you going? Gotta go chase after my own car. Now the question is, will it drive? I think we're technically upside down. Wait, are we? I don't know if this is the top. No, I don't think we're upside down. No, yeah, we're upside down. I think it's actually been turned. Yep, look at my driver. We've been turned inside out, so now backwards is forwards, but look, it drives. I think this is a win. I think this is a pass. I think this thing has passed the mother of all crash tests, falling off of the highest point in the game. I mean, I don't really have any control over it, but it's something, right? Look at this thing. Well, before we go, for those of you who care, this thing has 332 frames, which is way less than the Batmobile had. That thing had about, what was it, 800 frames? and it has 150 panels. So just a little bit of data on what it took to make this thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you learned something new, leave a like, and if you wanna get more content like this, make sure you don't miss it by hitting that subscribe button and hit that little bell next to it so you can get the notifications when I upload some new stuff. This has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time.